In 1993, Married with Children hit its peak. Al Bundy and Marcy Darcy's on-screen hatred was iconic. Then Amanda Bearse got married and deliberately banned Ed O'Neill from the ceremony. Everyone assumed he was homophobic. I pulled apart the real story. It's a complete reversal. One defensive joke sparked a secret feud that nearly destroyed the entire show. I tracked the series timeline from its debut in 1987 to its final run in 1997. For 11 seasons, the show's success relied heavily on the legendary dynamic between Al Bundy and Marcy Darcy. On screen, their insult-driven warfare was comedy gold. Off-screen, Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bearse led a highly professional cast. But I found no evidence of any public war during those early years. Contemporaneous press, from 1990 to 1992, describes a cooperative, functional set. To the public, they were a happy team, yet, beneath that smooth surface, a quiet bitterness had already started to rot their relationship. I uncovered the exact moment the cracks began. According to O'Neill, the real trouble started long before the wedding drama. It began with a high-profile photo shoot for the cover of TV Guide. The magazine wanted to feature the cast, but they made a harsh cut. They excluded Bearse and co-star David Garrison from the cover, choosing only the core family members. O'Neill and the other leads did the shoot anyway. They didn't protest. Bearse and Garrison took the exclusion as a deep professional betrayal, and O'Neill's silence sealed the damage. He later admitted he should have stood up for them. This single event broke their trust, planting a seed of silent resentment that sat right beneath their iconic on-screen chemistry. The real breaking point came down to a single private guest list. The popular story is that Amanda Bearse held a private commitment ceremony in 1993 and explicitly banned her on-screen rival, Ed O'Neill, from attending. But when I cross-referenced the timeline, the facts became much harder to pin down. I dug into the records. In September 1993, Bearse made history by coming out on the cover of The Advocate, becoming the first regular actress on a primetime sitcom to do so. It was a pioneering moment, but it wasn't a formal wedding. My research shows she didn't legally marry her partner, Carrie Shanken, until 2010. Retrospective articles in the New York Post and Fox News often blur these dates, conflating her public coming out with her private ceremony. I searched for details about that 1993 gathering, but I found no verification of the venue, the exact date, or who actually made the decision to exclude him. Retrospective reports from January 22nd and 29th, 2024, still repeat the story of a dramatic 1993 wedding, but those legal details remain completely unverified in the historical record. Still, O'Neill's absence is the one concrete fact that changed everything. For him, being left out was a deeply personal slight. I wanted to know why this personal boundary destroyed their working relationship. How did a private ceremony turn a legendary sitcom set into a reported toxic Cold War? The obvious explanation is that O'Neill was simply hostile or unsupportive. But my research revealed a very different story, a psychological clash that started with a defensive joke. I'm trying to cover more of these hidden television feuds, so if you're a fan of old school TV, a quick subscribe goes a long way, and let me know in the comments, do you think Ed's response was completely out of line? I looked into the accusation that Ed O'Neill was homophobic, a rumor that has followed him for decades. The truth is far more complex. My research shows O'Neill actually wanted to attend the ceremony. He wanted to support his co-star, not oppose her relationship. But in 1993, same-sex commitments were rare, lacked legal recognition, and were terrifying to face under the public eye. Bearse was highly protective of her safety and her dignity. She admitted she excluded O'Neill because she feared he would snicker at her wedding, expecting him to treat her commitment as a joke. When O'Neill found out he was left off the guest list, he confronted her. Bearse stood her ground, explaining she feared his ridicule. O'Neill's immediate response was laughter. It was a reaction driven by defensive hurt. Then came the exchange that broke their friendship. Most modern articles repeat a popular paraphrase of the fight. "The only thing we would have laughed at is you in a tuxedo." But I trace the actual quote back to O'Neill's own account in the New York Post. He actually asked her, "Amanda, what is funny about two women in tuxedos walking down to church?" When Burse told him that reaction proved her point, O'Neill doubled down with a mean defensive retort, telling her it was funny, and he wasn't going to pretend otherwise. For Burse, his sarcasm confirmed her worst fears. This wasn't just on-set bickering, it was a severe emotional rupture. O'Neill later admitted he was immature, reflecting that he should have treated the ceremony as her call and simply wished her well. Instead, his defensive ego took over, changing the course of their relationship forever. Later accounts claim that after that confrontation, O'Neill and Burse never spoke another word off camera. For the final 4 years of the series, through its end in 1997, their communication supposedly ended the second the director yelled, "Cut." Production logs and call sheets don't record these silent standoffs, but the reports of a complete freeze are consistent. This silence ran headfirst into a tense new power structure. IMDb and Wikipedia records show that Burse directed 31 episodes of the series. Her directorial work actually began in 1991, long before the wedding dispute, so the feud didn't spark her move behind the camera. But it made their forced collaboration incredibly awkward. I keep thinking about the raw irony of their daily routine. Here was Ed O'Neill, the undisputed star of the network's flagship show, forced to take direct creative orders from a co-star he refused to look at. On stage, they had to hit their marks and deliver razor-sharp insults. Off stage, they retreated to opposite corners of the set in total silence. It raises a fascinating question about the limits of performance. How do actors sustain convincing on-screen hatred when the real-life resentment is actually real? On TV, Al Bundy and Marcy Darcy traded verbal blows for laughs. Behind the scenes, the bitterness was no longer a script. The fiction had become a reality, forcing them to find a way to work through the mutual hostility. For decades, this hostile standoff remained a quiet industry secret. But between 2022 and 2024, a series of interviews and podcast appearances, including O'Neill's stop on the Dinners on Me podcast, pulled the feud back into the spotlight. I listened to O'Neill's recent comments where he finally addressed the damage he caused. In these modern reflections, O'Neill offered a surprising confession. He openly admitted his behavior was immature. He stated, "I did a thing on the show that involved Amanda Burse that I regretted." He admitted his defensive ego got the better of him, and that he wishes he could go back and simply wish her well. My research found no documented response from Burse regarding his public apology. After 30 years, the silence on her end remains unbroken. I look at Al and Marcy now, and I see more than comedic genius. I see the exhausting mask of professionalism. O'Neill's confession proved his regret, but Burse's silence remains unbroken. In Hollywood, some bridges don't just burn, they stay ashes forever.